What's up guys, Toy Bro here, and today we're taking a look at another Star Wars Black Series exclusive set. We have got the GameStop slash Barnes & Noble Guard 4-pack from Hasbro. This is probably the exclusive I've been looking forward to the most. I've got a real soft spot for guards in the Star Wars universe, and this is kind of the end-all be-all set for fans of that type of figure. So we've got our kind of standard 4-pack box that we have going. It's been this type of box for a while, maybe a little change here and there for the really long package, but we've got all our guards in windows. We got artwork like we're used to all down on the bottom. Let's flip it around, and we've got that same kind of artwork on the back with a bit of a write-up on kind of what each of these guards is all about. So let's pull these guys out and take a closer look. All right, guys, so here are the guards out of the box and all kind of set up. And there's some good here, and there is some annoying here. So in general, I think this is the coolest multi-pack set we have gotten in the line. I mean, it's a whole bunch of guards. How could you not want this? I think we've wanted a Royal Guard for a really long time. We finally got him. Now we're having another crack at him. So folks that missed him in the regular mainline release, because he is a pretty hard one to come by in the normal waves, can get this 4-pack and get their hands on a guard. Plus we're getting a Shadow Guard, we're getting a Senate Guard, and we're getting one of the new Praetorian Guards. But there are some quirks here that I'm going to talk about because, you know, we've obviously got some reuse, repaint going on here. So we're going to start and take a look at the three that are kind of, you know, similar. We're going to take a look at the Shadow Guard, the Royal Guard, and the Senate Guard together, and then we'll take a look at the Praetorian by himself. All right, here are our guards, and these are all built on the same body. They are the same figure that we got in the mainline release with the Royal Guard. So this is that same guy. Same figure, nothing new, nothing different. Shadow Guard is a black version. Senate Guard is a blue version with a different helmet. So this is the helmet from Revenge of the Sith. Episodes 1 and 2, the masks are open, and they have a horsehair plume on the top of the helmet instead of the actual just helmet. They have the same hands, which are made for force pikes, which is an unfortunate issue that comes about with them being repaints. So this is meant to hold this weapon, but these two don't have that. So the Shadow Guard holds his like a staff, and the Senate Guard has a gun. So this kind of makes for a little bit of an interesting situation when you have to try to pose them with their weapons, because they don't really want to sit in this hand very well. They are really just meant to hold this particular weapon in this particular way without looking kind of goofy. I understand why they did it. It's a repaint. They're not going to tool new parts for this. So it kind of is what it is. Now, I talked about this in the guard review previously, is that we don't know for sure what's under this robe, at least in the new canon. In the old canon, in what is now Legends, there was a Crimson Empire story that showed all about the guards and what they went through and how they became guards and all that kind of stuff, and it showed what their armor looked like. So the Shadow Guard in Legends is also a black version of this figure. So you can pull them up and you can see their armor underneath, and I'll show you what these look like without the soft goods on here shortly. The Senate Guard, though, we do see a quick glimpse of the Phantom Menace version, and it's just sort of a bodysuit underneath with really tall boots. I don't know that he is actually supposed to look like this underneath. Not a huge deal. I'm not going to display him that way, but, you know, me being me, I'm just going to pick it apart if I can. It looks cool this way, so it's better than what, you know, maybe it should be. But at the same time, I don't know that that's actually what it's supposed to be. But it's a repaint. It's a repaint figure. What are you going to do? Not a huge deal. Just something to point out. So I'm going to pull all of the soft goods off of these guys. We'll take a look at them, and then we'll do articulation and paint and everything here in just a second. But as far as the soft goods themselves go, before I remove them, these guys are really covered. Like they really spared no expense when it came to layering fabric on these guys. They all hang pretty well. You can pop the heads off if you want to kind of move the soft goods around a little bit just to get them correct. I kind of move the Senate Guard around so his gun will sit on his shoulder correctly. But for the most part, pretty solid. I think they're probably some of the best soft goods in the line. Here are the guards out of their robes and just in their normal armor. And I'll talk about accessories here in a minute. So we're going to do articulation, and you can see their colors and how their paint is done. Very clean lines. I don't have any real issues with the paint on my figures. The only real difference is between all three is their color. And then, of course, if you saw my review of the Royal Guard to begin with, a while back, you know what to expect in terms of sculpt. But we'll do articulation just to get through that and just show everybody what he does have. And there's one point that I'm gonna kind of bring out in particular. So the head really has no movement. It is on a hinged ball, so it technically does, but the sculpt prevents him from really doing anything. Arms can go out about that far, swivel all the way around. You have rotation at the elbow and a single hinge. There are vertical hinges at the wrists and rotation. He does have a diaphragm joint, so he can kind of swivel around. Legs only go out about that far. They kick forward about 90 degrees, and they go back a little bit. We do have a thigh cut. We do have double jointed knees, which I'm going to talk about again here in a second, and then we have a rocker and a hinge at the ankle. So in my original review of the Royal Guard, I pointed out that they have really, really gummy legs, or knees rather, and they still do. All three of these figures do this, and it honestly leads to a little bit of instability at times, so just keep that in mind when you're trying to pose this guy. As far as the sculpt on him goes, you can't really argue that they are very striking in their design. Even with their robes on, they still look really cool, but I think their armor underneath, honestly, the sculpt is really wasted on them because unless you're going to take the robes off, you're never going to see this stuff. But there's all this armor plating under there, the various intricate line work, all the wrinkles sculpted into the undersuit, and then of course they have the belt with the armor plating. They all do have a holstered sidearm, and this they come with the rubber band on it. I'm actually keeping it on for now because I'm going to lose this thing. It's just incredibly tiny, and I don't want one getting vacuumed up here, which is probably going to happen if I let them fall out. But really, these designs underneath here are very, very good. I think Hasbro did a great job with how they look and taking the Crimson Empire design and art and kind of transforming that into an action figure is executed really, really well. Now, in addition to their paint scheme differences and their robe color and their helmets, because obviously these two share a design, but this one is different, they do have different weapons. So let's take a look at what each of these guys comes with. Now, as far as accessories goes, we have got 3 different accessories here. We've got the Force Pike on the Royal Guard, and we've seen this in the other figure. It's just kind of a baton. It's about 4 inches long, black paint on silver gray plastic. We have got the Ceremonial Blaster Rifle for the Senate Guard. This is a unique design for the line, so this is a new one. It's got a strap on it, which has some notches and some buckles. There's metallic silver paint all over it, and it hangs on his shoulder. You kind of have to work it in there. I've been trying to get it inside the joint in between the helmet and the shoulder to kind of lock it in place, and that seems to help it because that the robe kind of sits on top of it. Just make sure it doesn't fall off. And then the coolest weapon, and probably the biggest weapon in the entire Black Series line now, is the Shadow Guard's lightsaber pike. And this thing is humongous. It is literally the entire height of the box that it comes in. It's just a black staff. It's 6-7 inches tall with a full lightsaber blade on it. This does come out. Mine comes out a little too easy. I'm probably going to glue it in there, but pretty cool design. Obviously, it is very unique. It is a one-off for this line. Can't really get much cooler than that, a humongous lightsaber staff. All right, lastly, we've got our Praetorian Guard, and I've got a few things to discuss about this guy. So the big one that sticks out to me, soft goods. They're not the greatest on this figure. They're definitely not up to par with the other guards in the set, but that's not really my problem. The problem is that this guy has soft goods, and the other 2 forthcoming Praetorian Guards do not have soft goods. They have rubbery plastic for their skirt piece, and I think I would have preferred that. I don't understand the design choice behind that. Maybe it was a cost-saving measure, or that's what they needed to meet the cost goal for this set, but it's weird that we're going to have one with soft goods and one without. He's definitely going to be the odd man out. I like the sculpt of the guy. I like the look of him. I like the fact that they have different helmets. I like the line work in there. I love the scale armor look of the arms and the back. And I like the breastplate. A lot of nice line work there. You can see the kind of padded tunic that they wear underneath has some sculpting in there. And then from the waist down, they kind of have a Royal Guard look about them. What I don't like is a few things about the weapons and then some articulation points we're going to talk about. As far as the weapons go, I think the design is cool. They do combine so you can make a dual-bladed staff, but I'm pretty sure the color is off on these. It may not show up too well on this video, but the color should be a deeper red, and it's kind of a light hue where the red is. it's not a huge deal. It's not really bothering me, but it's something that I noticed when I compared it to the 3 3/4 inch figures, is that the red on their weapons matches their armor, whereas this guy's red does not match. So just something to point out. I do think again that the idea behind these weapons is cool, and we've kind of learned from various sources that these little nubs right here at the end where the blades are have lightsaber emitters on them, or so it would seem. So that's kind of how they're going to fight Jedi, I guess. Now, as far as articulation goes, let's run down. He's kind of normal for the most part. So head's on a hinged ball. You can kind of swivel up and down, really far down, and a little bit up, all the way around. The arms can go out really far. The shoulder pads are actually pegged in, so you can kind of move them around a little bit. They will kind of wobble back and forth to kind of move with the arm. They can swivel all around. The big issue is going to come at these elbows. They really, really don't like moving. They can move about 90 degrees, but what I've noticed when doing it repeatedly is that it kind of stresses the plastic a bit at this particular piece here. It's made of a different plastic. It's a flexible plastic versus a harder plastic up top and up bottom, but it seems to really kind of, get hit pretty hard when you push it into that other plate as far as possible. So it's not terrible, but it's certainly not good either. And on this particular side, it actually got stuck inside this other plate up here, and it kind of snagged it a bit, which is definitely a problem. So I've got a kind of notch in this piece right here, which I can't fix at this point. The waist has a swivel and a little bit of bob up and down, not a whole lot. Legs go out, if I can stop grabbing the soft goods, about that far. They kick forward a little bit higher than 90. They go back a pretty decent bit. There is, of course, a thigh cut. Joints are really tight right now, though. And then we've got double joints at the knee. They go all the way back. And then we've got a rocker and a forward-facing pin for hinge. The knees on this guy are better than the knees on the other guards in this set, because I'm assuming it has something to do with those particular guards. They're plastic, they're build, and this guy's different. So in general, he's pretty good, but he does have a few weird things that just kind of bug the hell out of me. The soft goods are really the big part for me, because I just don't know what they're going to look like next to each other, and I worry that this guy's going to look weird standing next to two other guards that are more similar in design. So at the end of the day, I kind of worry that I have talked myself out of liking this set, but that's definitely not the case. I'm sure I had a lot of nitpicks in terms of what I do and don't like about this set, but it is the best in terms of cool factor. These things are going to look amazing on the shelf, and I want more Shadow and Senate guards. So I've already got 6 Imperial guards at this point. I don't need any more of them. There are some flaws, as I mentioned, with some of the figures. The hands on the 3 guards that are similar, they just don't go with those weapons. They are meant for force pikes. And then, of course, the Praetorian guard with the odd choice for soft goods on this one and not for the others. And then the elbows are just kind of janky. I don't like them. But he looks cool, so get him into a pose, put him on your shelf, and be done with it. And that's what I plan on doing. I'm definitely not in any way upset that I got this set. I do think that it is the coolest multi-pack we've gotten. They're not perfect figures, and at the end of the day, I wasn't expecting them to be, but I have to point out what I found. So that is going to do it for this look at the Black Series Guards 4-pack from Hasbro. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let me know what you guys think. Have you gotten them yet? What do you think of my little nitpicky gripes? Let me know down below, and until next time.